I'm Scott Weichel. You're listening to My Kind of Country right here on Fish Creek Radio. It's no secret to my listeners how much I love the music of my special guest tonight. His songs hold special, lifelong memories for me and have been a soundtrack for my life and also his legions of fans all over the world. The relevance and staying power of his music are second to none, as evidenced by his current album with Willie Nelson titled Django and Jimmy, which debuted at #1 on the Billboard Country Albums chart. It's my honor to welcome Merle Haggard to My Kind of Country. Merle, how you doing today?
Scott Winkle, it's nice to be on your show, and you have an impressive audience.
Thank you very much. It's an honor to have you on the show as well. And this is your fourth album project with Willie Nelson. Tell me a little bit about the long friendship you've shared with him.
Well, we became friends in 1964. We met in a poker game, and we've played poker over the years. We still enjoy playing poker, and he and I dig making music together. And I think it's obvious, proof's in the pudding, that it's good stuff,
Absolutely it is. How did you choose the songs for this album?
Well, it wasn't easy. There was a lot of good songs around, but it was about 2 or 3 years, I guess, talking on the phone and this and that, getting the songs together. But it only took about 3 days to make the album.
Is that right? Wow. Did you record it at Willie's place down in Texas or at your place?
Neither one. We went to the studio. I forget the name of it, but it was one of the hottest studios in Austin, and did it. And it was just, you got to really stay ahead of this electronic thing, and unless you're an active studio, you may not be that way. And so we always try to go to the most active studio, and there was like a 1-year waiting list to get in the studio, and they let us right in.
Well, I would hope so. Well, this song, "It's All Going to Pot," there's it's a funny song, but there's also a hidden message in there too. Tell me a little bit about that song.
Well, if you can grow something in your garden that'll take the place of this stuff that's shipping from Germany, then you can keep your pills. It's all going to pot.
Oh, that's a great song. What's the significance of the title, Django and Jimmy?
Jimmy Rogers was probably known to be the father of country music and maybe one of the most influential people in my life. I did a tribute album to Jimmy Rogers. And Django Reinhardt, about the same period of time in the 30s, was burning up a guitar from Paris, France. He was part of a group called the Hot Club of France, which was Django Reinhardt and Stephen Capelli and George Reinhardt. And we're just on the other side of the world, and he was a great influence on Willie. So that's where the title Django and Jimmy come from.
Well, your album that you did to Jimmy Rogers called Same Train, Different Time is one of my favorites. And I'd like to thank you because what you did for me, I was real young when those albums came out, but what it did for me is it made me go back and listen to the originals, and it got me into Jimmy Rogers, it got me into Lefty Frizzell, it got me into Bob Wills. And today, as I sit doing this show, that's the music that I play. And a lot of it was thanks to hearing those albums that you did, bringing their music back to a new generation.
Well, that's what I intended to do, and you make it successful, and I thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, your album with Willie is, of course, available at merlehaggard.com. It's available on iTunes, Amazon.com, anywhere music is sold, Walmart, FYE, Ernest Tubb Records shows, and, of course, at Merle Haggard Willie Nelson concerts. And tell me a little bit about concert tour. Merle, you've got a lot of dates in the books here, I see.
Well, we sure do. We play about 10 or 12 days a month, I guess, and have been for many years. And believe it or not, that's about all you can do and have any time at home at all. And we're still hot after it, and I think Willie and I are going to be doing some things together on account of the album, so you can look for that to come.
Oh, that's great. Have you guys thought about doing a European tour or a UK tour? I know I've had a lot of people ask about that.
Well, you're right on target. There are a lot of people asking about it, and it's on the horizon if somebody get their ducks in a row, you know.
Well, I know your fans would love to see you back over there again. And as far as United States, you've got August 3rd in Springdale, North Carolina at the Foundation Performing Arts and Conference Center. Let's see, August 4th, Rocky Mountain, Virginia at the Harvester Performance Center. August 6th and 7th, you're going to be at the Ink and Iron Festival in Nashville. That's going to be a big show.
Yeah, that's a big outdoor festival. Everybody that likes country music ought to come out and participate and lay around and enjoy that.
Absolutely. A lot of big names there. And Lawrenceburg, Indiana on August 8th at the Lawrenceburg Events Center. And Mount Vernon, Kentucky at Renfro Valley, the Entertainment Center. That's a nice place. I saw you play there one time, I believe.
I've been there many times.
Yeah, it's a nice place. That's August 9th. August 10th, Greensburg, Pennsylvania at the Palace Theater. And then we're into September, Windsor, Colorado at the Bulls on the Beach, Water Valley. And the 5th in Deadwood, South Dakota. The 6th in Moorhead, Minnesota. And the 11th, you're going to be in Battle Creek. That's Michigan, so I'm going to come down and see you.
Look forward to it.
Absolutely. Tell me a little bit about the Strangers. Norm Hamlet is still playing steel with you. You've got some new faces in the band, including a real special lead guitar player.
Well, my lead guitar player is my youngest son. He's been playing with me now since he was 15 years old. He'll be 23 here just shortly, and he's just knocking everybody out in the business. His guitar playing is the talk of the town, so I'm really proud of him. And we have a new saxophone player. My old saxophone player, Don Markham, retired. And we have a new saxophone player. His name is Renato Claranto, and he hails from Okinawa. He's a Filipinian, and he is just absolutely the best I've heard. And you're gonna be blown away with his playing. And the whole show is right up to snuff.
As always. I've seen you, I think 30-some times in concert and got to talk with you many times, of course, and it's always a fantastic show, and you always have top-notch musicians playing with you, that's for sure. And Merle, I know you never use a set list when you do your shows. You kind of read what's what the crowd is into and kind of play according to that. How do you recall all those songs that you've written over the years? How do you remember all those words and bring those back?
Well, I've got a prompter right in front of me that, as soon as I give somebody an indication of what I'm going to do next, they throw up the words for me. But fortunately, I really don't need it most of the time. It's just when things get hectic up there, things happen, and your mind takes your mind in a different direction, and it's always good to have those words referred to. But I've probably got 300 or 400 songs up there that I can refer to at any moment.
I've seen you do shows, back-to-back shows, and never play the same song twice. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah. One time I went to see Hank Snow, and Hank Snow was just one of my favorite people, and I was so blown away with the first show. It was in Bakersfield. I went and got a ticket to the second one, and the second one was exactly like the first one. For all the emotional things, he said something about it. He did a song for his mother, and he got emotional on it the same way, and it really turned me off. And I swore if I ever got to where I could do that many songs, I'd do different songs.
Well,
same place.
Keeps the crowd interested, that's for sure. Yeah, I know what you mean. I've seen a lot of artists over the years, and I could pretty much tell you what their set list was going to be, And with Merle Haggard, you never know.
Well, that's the only way that, if you don't surprise nobody, then what are they paying to see? You know, a reproduction of something you saw before, and that's not fun.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's fun for the audience, but it's fun for you guys too. You know, and it sure keeps the band on their toes, especially some of the newer players, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's right. And if it's not fun for us, it ain't gonna be fun for you.
That's for sure. Well, you've got, in addition to the album with Willie Nelson, you have a new album out that's available at Cracker Barrel, and it's a fantastic album called Timeless with Mac Wiseman. How did that come about?
Well, Mac and I had a mutual friend named Ronnie Reno, and Ronnie produced it and got it all together, and you know, Mac Wiseman is either 90 or 91 years old.
Yeah.
And he's in a wheelchair, but he's still, his mind and is just as active as ever, and everything's, and I'm just so honored to record with him. I idolized him ever since I was a kid, and I'm 78 years old, but when I was 13 years old or something like that, he had a song called Love Letters in the Sand.
Yeah.
Boy, that was just absolutely, and he still sings that way.
He sure does. He sounds great on the album. Both of you guys do. It's
Yeah, I'm proud of that, and proud I got to do that with him.
I was honored. He was on my show a few months ago, and we talked about his album, songs that my mother songs from my mother's hand. That's the name of it. And we talked a little bit about the album that you and he did, and he was tickled to death to do that. He thought he was surprised that you said yes.
Well, he's the kind of guy that doesn't, he's not a boaster. And I don't think he realizes how good he is sometimes, or how well thought of he is in the business. You know, I don't think he realizes that.
Well, I'm glad that they put him in the Hall of Fame, and that's a great album to have, and I've been playing that on the show as well. I really liked your cut of "High on a Hilltop," the Tommy Collins song. You did just a phenomenal job redoing that one.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, Merle, I've noticed on some of your albums over the last years that you've gone back and re-recorded some songs that some were hits and some were just album tracks. What's your reason for doing that?
Lack of songs.
Really?
Well, you get in position, you got a band sitting there that's costing you some serious money, and you're in a studio and you run out of material, so but the quickest thing you can do is run back over something of your own that you can possibly redo and make better,
Mm-hmm. Well, I see you've got a brand new Super Chief bus that's out on the road, so it looks like you're going to put a lot of miles on it.
Well, we're tickled to death. We changed over to Prevost or Prevost, and we got a really great conversion job done over with the Hemp Hill Brothers in Nashville, and we're riding in comfort, first class, and I'm real proud of it. And all it takes is 50 years in the business and 42 #1 records, and you can have one of those.
I watched a interview that you did some years ago, and they asked you to sum up your career, in a sentence, and you said a 35-year bus ride.
Well, Johnny Cash, somebody asked him, said, what do you got to do to be a star? And he said, well, you got to go to the airport 180 times a year.
Oh, my God. That's great. Well, a lot of tour dates coming up. MerleHaggard.com has all your tour dates listed there. And, of course, the new album, Django and Jimmy, Willie Nelson, Merle Haggard, and Timeless, Merle Haggard and Mac Wiseman, available at Cracker Barrel. And tell me about your childhood home, Merle. I saw a video a while back. You went and saw that they're taking that down. They're going to restore it at the Kern County Museum. What are your thoughts about that?
there's mixed emotions about it. That was where I was born and raised, and to pick it up and move it somewhere else I'm not totally fond of that, but I realize it's going to preserve it forever, and we're going to go down and do that in the morning, and they're going to pick it up with a crane and take it down Chester Avenue, middle of Bakersfield, and I'm going to follow in the Super Chief. We'll have some sort of a little ceremony for the media there when they set it down at the museum, I guess.
Well, that's great. Well, I'm glad to see that they're going to restore it. I know it was in pretty rough shape, and that's got to be hard to see, I think. Seeing your child at home looking in that kind of condition.
Well, they took it apart and they numbered every splinter. So they claim to be pretty good at restoration. So maybe they'll be able to put it back, and at the end of the day, everybody will be happy,
Well, I sure hope so. It'll be a nice place for people to go and see that. I forgot to ask you, Don Henley has a new album coming out, and there's a song in there called "The Cost of Living" that you sang with him on that. How did it come about that you did a song with Don Henley?
Well, the great Don Henley asked me to do it, and I haven't heard it yet. Is it any good?
It's great, yeah. I actually haven't heard the whole song. I heard a part of it, but yeah, it's the whole album sounds like it's going to be a great album. I've always liked the Eagles anyway, and all the harmonies that they did, and there's.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan also. Yeah, I'm just he's a real perfectionist, and I'm sure it'll be good.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a great album. We'll make sure we get that on the air when it comes out too. Merle, I've collected your music for many, many years. I have probably one of the most complete collections of your music, I think, that it's in existence. And I worked with two friends of mine, one in Scotland, one in England. We put together a worldwide discography, and I hope that you got a copy of it. Frank was given one that was supposed to go to you, and I hope you got it.
Well, I haven't heard it yet, but I did get it, yes.
Okay, well, that's good. And there's a lot of stuff on there, and it's pretty amazing. I want to ask you about one of the records I have in my collection. Was your first, of course, "Sing a Sad Song" was your first big hit, but your first record was called "Singing My Heart Out" and "Skid Row." Tell me a little bit about your memories making that record back with Louis Talley and Fuzzy Owen back at the Talley Studios there in Bakersfield.
Well, actually, it was made at a place called Dave Bell's studio, and it was a frightening condition. I think I stood in the same spot and sang the same song for 24 straight hours. And by the time we finally got a take on something, I was just happy that it was over. That's all I remember about that.
Well, I'm tickled to have that record in my collection. I had you and Fuzzy sign it for me several years ago, and that's one of my crown jewels in my collection. I'm glad to have that for sure. Tell me a little bit about Sonny Langley.
Sonny Langley and I became friends late in his life. Sonny played rhythm guitar with Hank Snow, and he was a poor man's Hank Snow type. He was just a pretty good singer, and he knew a million songs, and played good guitar.
He was a very good singer. Glenn Pogachnik he and I are friends, and he's a great guy. He's a character, and he'll talk your ear off, but he's a really nice guy. And he shared some of Sonny's music with me, and boy, that guy was a great singer.
Yeah, he was.
And of course, anybody that knows Bakersfield Sound knows Bill Woods, and you worked with him, and you wrote a song about him too, I believe. Or actually, I believe Red Simpson wrote the song, but you recorded it.
Yeah, Bill Woods from Bakersfield was just something I wanted to record just for the historic reasons of doing it, But Bill was. I was working at a place called High Pockets, seated about it probably. The whole place might seat 40 people. And I was on stage and looked up, and Bill Woods was standing in the middle of a little old bandstand with his arms folded, looking at me. And I got done and took an intermission. He walked up and he said, "Why don't you come on down to the blackboard and play down there?" He said, "That's where everybody's playing." And offered me a job with the blackboard. And at that time, I was making $10 a night in beer joints, and so that was an elevation of my career to have Bill Woods come down and ask me to come to work at the blackboard. But he did.
Wow, that's cool. And he worked on the road with you for a while too, I do believe, right?
Oh yeah, he come out and played piano with me for a while.
Wow, that's great. Bonnie Owens was one of my very favorite people, and I was blessed to get to visit with her many times at shows. And she mentioned to me one time, this is back in the late '80s, that you and her had recorded an album of duets, and you'd done a new version of Just Between the Two of Us. Do you have any plans to release that?
Say that again.
Bonnie Owens was talking to me about a duet that you and her had recorded some new songs. This was back in the late '80s, and one of them was a new cut of Just Between the Two of Us. And I don't believe it's ever come out, and I was wondering if you were ever going to reissue that or issue that.
Well, you know, it hadn't even been thought of, but we'll go into the archive and do some listening. I don't know that we have a whole set of music, but there might be 4 or 5 songs or something that she and I done together. I don't think we completed that project.
Oh, okay.
But I'll go see. I know we did do Just Between the Two of Us. I remember doing that.
I'd love to see that come out. I was so tickled when Bear Family put the box set out of all of Bonnie's music.
What all they got in there?
Everything, all of her early recordings from Tally and the Marvell label, and all of her Capitol recordings, including the duet album with you.
She got some good stuff recorded at different times. Did they include the album she did with Gary Paxton?
No, I don't believe that's in there. I think that was probably later on, wasn't it?
Well, no, it was done. It was done like in the early '60s. She got mad at Fuzzy and went over and did an album with Gary, and it was real good. But it's kind of like out of print or something.
I'll have to look in that box set and see if it's in there. I don't believe it is, but it might be. I'll go back and check on that. I'm not.
She did some really good stuff in that.
Oh, absolutely. She was a great. I was like Hi-Fi to Cry By. That was one of my favorites that she did. She was a great lady. I'll tell you what. I had some really nice business with Bonnie.
Yeah.
Well, tell me. I just want to ask you about a couple more obscure songs since I've got you here, and I've been curious for a long time. Some years ago, there was a station, I think it was in Scotland, that broadcast a spoken word song that you did called The Ballot of 4 Dogs. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I don't remember. I haven't. God, I don't know.
It was an interesting song. You did it in kind of a Scottish accent too. I thought it was quite interesting.
Well, you know, that's the thing that me and Tommy Collins put together. That and there was 2 other songs that went with it. The Peg-Legged Irishman and Love and Hell were 2 different songs. One led into the 4 Dogs, and one took you out of it.
Okay.
So the whole thing was about 22 minutes long.
Yeah, yeah. So there's actually 3 separate songs in there.
Well, yeah, one was a recitation. There was the song on the beginning and the song on the end.
Well, that's really interesting. I'm gonna have to see if I can get a hold of that. That was a pretty neat thing to hear. And there was a song that I heard on a live album that came out a few years ago, and it was from about 1985 or so, and it was done. The song was called "Sit Around and Suffer." You remember that at all?
Yeah, yeah.
It was kind of like to the tune of Kern River. How did that song come about?
I remember the period in which we wrote it. I wrote it when I was living on the houseboat, and I was single, in between marriages, and not really happy about it.
That was a neat song. I enjoyed hearing that one. I always got a kick out of listening to that one. Well, do you have some songs that you haven't put out yet? Do you have some other projects you're working on currently?
Working on a new album right now with Buddy Cannon, the guy that did the Merle Willie album, and I think there's 3 or 4 new songs on there that I wrote, and there's some other new songs that I didn't write everything on the album, but it's all good songs.
Well, I'm sure it will be. We'll look forward to that. Now you have you built a new recording studio out at your place not long ago, didn't you?
Sure did. I overdid it. I've got a really beautiful studio here at a little old town, where there's not much call for it, but it's here, and I use it quite a bit. Doing different things for the news media and things like that. It comes in real handy.
Well, it's good to hear that you record music and you got a place you can go record when you want to. I know David Frizzell was on my show a while back, and he said that they went out to your studio there and recorded some of the album, the Buddy Holly tribute album, at your studio.
Yeah, they did.
That's a great album too. Remember Me, you did a fantastic version of that on that album.
Thank you.
Well, Django and Jimmy is available nationwide, folks, and it's got some of the best songs on it. Of course, It's All Going to Pot, the title song, Django and Jimmy, Unfair Weather Friend, Missin' Old Johnny Cash. What a great song that is. I bet you guys had a lot of fun doing that one.
Thank you. Yeah, I enjoyed writing that. Yeah.
Johnny Cash was something else.
Yes, it was.
And Somewhere Between, there's just so many great songs. Alice in Hula Land, that's a fun song, too. I like that one. I saw the video for that. Well, folks,
the whole album is really entertaining. Driving the Herd is a great song on there, too.
Yeah, that's a great one. Buddy Cannon and Willie wrote that one, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yep, that's a good song, too. We'll play that. I'll tell you what, we'll play that when we get done with the interview. I like that one, too. How about that?
Yeah, there's a song for everybody on that album.
Absolutely. And it's on vinyl, too. It got released on vinyl here just last week.
They're gradually bringing those back. I think it's 2 years from now it'll be solid 50% vinyl.
Well, that works for me. I like vinyl. I still play a lot of it on my show.
Well, it's just can't be beat.
Absolutely, it's good stuff. Your last this album and then your last 2 albums came out on vinyl. I Am What I Am and Working in Tennessee. Those all came out on vinyl too.
Right.
Working in Tennessee is a great album, folks. If you don't have that, I encourage you to pick that up too. The title song, it's really real quick. Tell me the story of Working in Tennessee. I love to hear the story about this one.
Oh, I just sometimes write a song for a certain purpose, but I wanted something that I could play the fiddle on and use as a show tune, something I could use on the show that would brighten the show.
It's a great song, great album too. I really enjoy that, and of course, all of your music. And I, on behalf of everybody that is a country music fan, thank you for the wonderful body of music you've put out over the years. And it stands the test of time. And the nice thing to know is it's always going to be there.
Well, bless you for that. I appreciate it, and I don't take anything for granted. It's a wonderful gift.
Amen to that. Merle, what's some of the music that you listen to when you're on the bus or when you're at home? What's in your stereo?
Oh, I listen to the same old things that I always did. I listen to Lefty Frizzell, and Hank Williams, Bob Wills, Ernest Tubb, and I listened to Django Reinhardt, Grady Martin, and George Benson, and Vince Gill, and John Mayer, and I like little Hunter Hayes. And I love this new act, Sturgill Simpson.
I just
listening to Sturgill's record of looking for the end of that long white line.
Yeah, I just heard that album. It's a good album, and he's doing some shows with you too, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah, you bet he is. And I'll tell you what, look out, he's going to do something. That boy's going. He's got a great band.
Well, that's fantastic. The Malpus brothers too have a new album out. We had Chris on the show a while back, and I know that they toured opening shows for you for quite a while too. And those guys are fantastic as well.
Oh man, and they're good people. They're good people, and they're just overly talented and good-looking guys. I'm really proud to have them on my shows when I can.
Yeah, they got Lewis Talley hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're nice guys. I'm always glad to play their music. Well, Merle Haggard, it's been a pleasure talking with you, and I've enjoyed all the times that you and I have gotten to talk over the years at shows and things like that, and I just want to say thank you for taking time to be on My Kind of Country.
Well, it's my pleasure. Talk to you again.
All right. That is Merle Haggard on My Kind of Country, and folks, we're gonna go back and play one off of the Django and Jimmy album right now, Driving the Herd. This is a great song. Here is Merle Haggard and Willie Nelson. Thank you, Merle.